All right, today we're going to talk about a fun activity that you can do with your students that will keep them engaged when it comes to teaching narrative writing. And it has something to do with MASH. Now, if you remember this game back from when you were in the 90s, I don't know about you, but I grew up in the 90s, and we played this game all the time as kids, right? Mansion, blah, 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 whatever. And you predict your future. But we're gonna use this concept in order to engage our students in a narrative writing activity. So I'm gonna walk you through how the activity works. You can have students do this on a piece of paper. You can do it as a whole class on the board. But this is a great spiral review activity for narrative writing that you can utilize in your classroom. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is really just like set up your board. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. You can add, different things and elements that you wanna add that work for your class. But essentially, whereas MASH stands for, mansion, etc., M might stand for something like magical kingdom. Okay, and you're gonna wanna give students all of this information before you guys start. And A might stand for another planet. And basically what these parts, what this part is doing is giving you the setting, is giving students a setting, right? So you want to determine like what the MASH is going to stand for. You can come up with whatever you want. But then around the board, right? So if we have MASH up here and we have like our typical board, if you remember from when you were a kid, around the board, we have other categories, okay? And I might even use a different pen for this. But you're going to have other categories around the board. And along the left-hand side, you might have things like certain conflicts. Maybe it's person versus person, or person versus nature, or person versus self, or whatever it might be. So you might put conflicts here. And you can have other categories over here as well, where you might have, at least 5 sentences of dialogue is included, or, anything along those lines that you might want to have students include in this particular activity. Perhaps it's, you can be creative with this. Maybe it's vocabulary words that you want students to include or whatever. So you can come up with all of the different categories that you want students to have. Again, using this as really like your setting that you're giving students. Over here, again, I kind of think you should do something along the lines of conflict or something like that. Vocabulary words is a great one. And then elements of plot that you might want students to include that they've got to make sure that they have, or whatever it might be. So get creative with that. You can even have students help you set this up. But then students get with their partner and they'll obviously do like this circle, or I think at some point when I was a little kid, we also did like the lines until we said stop. And then whatever that number is what we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We cross this one off, right? And we go all the way around the board until we end up with 1 at each spot, at each category and section. And then students set off on their own to write their narrative piece. Again, of course, you want to remind students, like, you got to include a lead, you got to include an ending, all of these things that we are spiral reviewing what we've already taught them in our main narrative unit. But this just is a fun, different way to get students to write about something that, we're engaging them from the beginning with a game to set them up first for how they're going to then go ahead and execute on their narrative piece. So for more videos like this one, make sure that you subscribe where you are watching this. And if you found this helpful, definitely make sure that you share with another middle school ELA teacher.